Good morning, and welcome to another edition of Columbus Concerns, a public affairs presentation of North American Broadcasting. I'm Mark Nuce. Thanks so much for joining us today. With us on the program is our old friend Kimberly Schwind from AAA, the Ohio Auto Club and AAA Travel, and thanks so much for being here, Kimberly.
No problem. Thank you for having me today.
Yeah, it's great to have you back because we always talk about fun stuff usually, and we're going to start off talking about some really fun stuff, and that's 2017 travel trends. Where do folks from Columbus like to go?
Well, it looks like people, once again, we're looking at it's January, February timeframe when people are booking their trips and it's winter time and people want to get out and go somewhere warm. So really those warm destinations always top the list. So this year we kind of split it into two separate lists. We have our international destinations and then our domestic destinations. So the top 5 international destinations are Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic, Rome, Italy. So some people wanting to get away to Europe as well. Montego Bay, Jamaica, London, England, and Nassau, Bahamas. When you're looking at domestically, Florida is really very popular. We see people from Ohio driving and flying to Florida. Orlando, Florida, always number one. We want to see people want to go to Disney World. They want to go to Universal Orlando. Lots to do and see in Orlando, Florida. Fort Lauderdale, Florida, number 2. Anaheim, California, number 3. Of course, Disneyland is there. Miami, Florida, number 4. And Las Vegas, Nevada is number 5. And those are actually the top destinations nationally based on AAA booking data. But when you look at Ohio travelers, really ours pretty much line up with the national trends, except for we find that Ohio travelers also like to go to Cancun, Mexico, New York, and Hawaii. Those are really the top destinations for 2017, again, based on where people have booked so far.
Does a lot of it have to do with convenience? In other words, I can get direct flights from Columbus maybe to Cancun?
Yeah, some of it does, but again, people just want to go somewhere warm, and those are the hot spots. There's the all-inclusive resorts there. When you look at Fort Lauderdale, really that destination is, obviously there's the beaches there, and so there are places that you can stay there. But a lot of people will go down to Fort Lauderdale or Miami to hop on cruise ships. So when we're talking about people booking flights there, booking a hotel, maybe they stay a night before and then they hop on a cruise ship. Cruises are very popular. They continue to remain popular. So people, it's not necessarily convenience, but it's, maybe the deals that they can get, the all-inclusive vacations. Also, when you're talking about Rome and London, those are kind of bucket list destinations. People like to go for the history and to see those destinations. But Las Vegas, of course, you can get some great deals there. But yeah, when you're talking about the Caribbean and Mexico, everyone wants a tropical getaway, and you can get some great deals on all-inclusive resorts down in those locations.
Yeah, it's interesting because if there are some very well-known places like Cancun and Nassau, Bahamas, but number one being the Dominican Republic. That's an interesting trend. I mean, that has become very popular.
It really has. Last year, that was actually number 2 on the list, and it's jumped to number 1. Rome was number 1, so they kind of flip-flopped this year. But that's actually where I went on my honeymoon, and it definitely that was 8 years ago. So yeah, it definitely has grown in popularity since then. Again, lots of great all-inclusive resorts down there. It is just beautiful. And it's relatively easy to get to. You talked about that convenience factor, and so not too long of a flight to get there.
See, you started a trend with your honeymoon.
I guess so. A trendsetter.
Now, before we go into some of the other travel trends for 2017, I know you have a website where people can go and find out more information.
That's right. You can always visit AAA.com. So that's AAA.com. But if you want to look at travel, you could go to AAA.com/travel. And you can look at all of these different destinations and trips. And we have packages, some AAA member exclusives. You can get different deals and discounts. So that's always a great place to go to look for travel.
Now, as we talk about travel trends, some people, they don't want to just go to a destination and lay on the beach. They want to experience different cultures and different aspects. I know that's a popular trend as well.
Yeah, that's something that we're seeing more and more, is that people are seeking these experiences that are unique and immersive. They want to immerse themselves in the culture, in the location that they're visiting. They want a deeper connection to the cultures and the people and the traditions of that destination. So, for example, we've noticed an increase in travelers that are booking tours that may include opportunities to, for instance, dine with a local family or have hands-on tutorials from local craftspeople. So these immersive vacations, and we're actually seeing millennials more so wanting these kind of immersive vacations than the older generations. So it's something that's growing in popularity, and we're seeing that more and more.
Also, people heading north. We were talking about warm destinations, but in the summertime, I imagine a lot of people head to Canada.
That's right. Canada is an up-and-coming destination, especially this year. Canada is celebrating its 150th birthday. A lot of the reasons, or the two reasons people choose Canada, are because it's affordable and it's accessible. It's close to home, relatively. There's favorable currency exchange rates, so it doesn't cost you a whole lot of money. And then this year, with that 150th birthday, there's going to be lots of opportunities that you can experience different special events. You can learn more about the country's history and traditions. Again, that immersive experiential travel that we were talking about.
Iceland and Ireland are on your list.
Yeah, those two are kind of surprises to a lot of people. Iceland, you wouldn't think about. But yeah, so you can actually book relatively inexpensive flights to both of those destinations. They're really not that far away. It's just about, once you get to the East Coast, about a 6-hour flight across the ocean to get to Ireland. So, they're relatively close. There's this perception that both countries are safe. Many travelers haven't explored them yet. So we continue to see Iceland and Ireland growing in popularity.
Kimberly Schwind from AAA is here, and we're talking about travel trends for 2017 and a lot of other topics as well. I recently talked to a travel agent, and she was here at the studio, and she had somebody with her just going on one of those river cruises. She did one in Europe, in Germany, and she thought that was fantastic. But they have them here in the U.S. as well, right?
They do. And I've actually never been on one, but they are something I'd like to go on. I think they're on a lot of people's bucket list. When you look at it, only, a small percentage of the population have actually been on a river cruise. However, they are continuing to grow in popularity. We actually saw AAA's bookings for river cruises increase 16% last year. So we also see people really wanting to go on river cruises. About 40% of Americans said that they would consider a river cruise for their upcoming vacation. 24% said that they are likely to take a river cruise in the next 5 years. And you might think that river cruises maybe appeal to the older generations. And if you look at who's been on a river cruise, that's primarily true. But when you look at who wants to go on a river cruise, we find that millennials are more likely than Generation X or the baby boomers to consider a river cruise for an upcoming vacation. So they're really, really popular. And we find that people find river cruising so appealing because there's that all-inclusive experience. It's focused on the journey and not just the destination. You have that ability to visit unique destinations that really aren't accessible by larger cruise ships. You have the opportunity for that authentic travel experience, again, to immerse yourselves in the culture. And you have the convenience of docking right at the heart of a town or city. So you don't have to go to a big port and then walk into the town. You're right there in the center of it. So really, really popular, and that's something that we've really seen growing in the last few years.
That's kind of nice. Your hotel moves with you. That's
exactly,
great.
And you can just watch the world go by.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Obviously, the national parks are a huge destination. They've been setting records for the last few years. 100th anniversary last year, and the most visited park is within a pretty easy travel distance of Central Ohio. Great Smoky Mountain National Park is always number one as far as visitors go. Still a big trend coming up for 17?
Yes, definitely. And, you mentioned the Great Smoky National Park. That is always, Tennessee, Gatlinburg, that area is always one of our top driving destinations from Central Ohio. So a very popular location. And we do continue to see the national parks growing in popularity. And we did a survey and found that 79% of Americans say that they are as likely or more likely to visit a national park in the next year. So we're really going to continue to build on the momentum from the 2015 all-time record high visitation to the national parks and then last year's centennial celebrations. 85% of Americans have visited at least one national park, and 73% of them say that the national parks are a must-see vacation destination. So, very popular. Again, the Smoky Mountains National Park, also the Grand Canyon and Rocky Mountain. When we surveyed people, we found that on Americans' bucket list for future travel includes Yellowstone, Yosemite, and of course the Grand Canyon. But we have a national park that's really right in our backyard as well, the Cuyahoga Valley National Park. So that's one that you can just drive a couple hours and visit.
Any updates on the Gatlinburg area? They had those terrible wildfires down there. Things getting open for business this year for tourists, or it's still a struggle?
I'm not as up to date on that as I should be, but definitely you should, if you do want to visit there, it's always a good idea to check their websites. And of course, our travel agents are up to date on all of that information. So they would be able to direct you to locations down there if you want to go.
That's the beauty of talking to an expert, right?
That's right.
You can find out,
exactly.
You can go right to the source and always get the very latest information, maybe something that's not on the internet and a little bit old.
That's right.
One of the things I know, a great event, and you and I have both been there many times. Of course, you are there because it's your job, but I've been there just out of pleasure several times, is the Travel Expo, which is coming up, the Great Vacations Travel Expo. When and where this year?
Yeah, so we usually do this in January. This year, it's actually the first weekend in February. It's the 2017 AAA Great Vacations Travel Expo. It will take place February 3rd through the 5th, 2017, at the Greater Columbus Convention Center in downtown Columbus. So we're really excited about this year's show. We are going to have over 200 exhibits, events, and attractions. So for those of you that have never been to the Expo, if you are even thinking about a vacation this year, even if it's maybe, a camping vacation close to home, this is really the place to go. There's everything from exotic cruises, European getaways, close to home vacations, the Caribbean and Mexico, everything that you could imagine. We have all of the travel experts there to talk to. You can just basically browse and pick your vacation there, plan it and book it right on the spot. It is really the one-stop shop for everything related to travel. You have access to the world's top travel suppliers. Again, you have that opportunity to talk one-on-one with the top travel experts. You can take home some advice. There are Expo-only deals. A lot of the vendors that are coming are giving away trips, so lots of giveaways. And there's just everything there that you need to plan your vacation.
Now, I know a few years ago, you and I had the pleasure of going on stage and talking with Gavin MacLeod from the Love Boat. That was a lot of fun.
Yes, he was
he was great, wasn't he?
Definitely.
Very nice guy. Who are your special guests this year?
So we have two this year. So we have the AAA travel stage, and there's going to be live events and entertainment and workshops all throughout the weekend on the AAA travel stage. But on Saturday, February 4th, we are going to have Josh Gates. He is the star of the Travel Channel's Expedition Unknown. So he's going to share amazing tales of his expeditions, and he's also going to sign autographs after that. So if you haven't heard of him, he is a noted adventurer. He's an avid explorer. He has this unique brand of humor and really this deep-rooted passion for off-the-map excursions. His show, he sets out to span the globe. He searches for the truth behind the most captivating and iconic unsolved legends. Him and his crew, they've trekked to the most remote corners of the planet. It's really interesting to watch. In one episode, he scoured the countryside of Japan searching for a mystical samurai sword discovered. And then in another, he descended into these pitch black caverns in Mexico to discover the secrets of the Maya. So just these really off the map, wild adventures. And it's going to be great to hear him talk because he's going to tell us all about them.
Mm-hmm. And who's your other special guest?
Our other special guest is Marianne from Gilligan's Island. So her name is Dawn Wells. So she's going to be there on Sunday, February 5th at 1 p.m. She is going to share some secrets behind Gilligan's Island. She'll tell some fascinating tales. She's also going to be available afterwards for autographs. And did you know that Gilligan's Island has actually never been off the air since it first ran in 1964? It's the longest running sitcom in TV history. Dawn Wells also wrote a book in 2014 to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Gilligan's Island. It was called What Would Marianne Do? A really successful book. And so she's going to be there to talk about her experiences as well. But, who doesn't love Gilligan's Island? Who doesn't love Marianne? It's going to be great to hear her talk and to meet her.
I'm going to come down and I'm going to ask her how come she had so many changes of clothes if they were just on a 3-hour tour. That's what I want to know. Oh, well, there are lots of things.
That's a good question.
Lots of things I want to know about that. Here's the part. Kimberly Schwinn, by the way, is our guest from AAA Travel. And, this is my favorite part. How do we save money? Especially when it comes to booking a flight. I know there are ways that you guys have that people can save.
Yeah, people are thinking, okay, well, what's the best day to book a flight? Or, how do I get the best deal? Well, first of all, being flexible with your arrival and departure time. So if you want to fly at the same time that everybody else wants to fly, then you might pay a little bit more money, especially if you're traveling, around peak times, holiday times, spring break, Memorial Day, 4th of July, those holidays that are coming up. Also you might want to be flexible with your location. So maybe you could get a better rate flying out of Dayton or Akron than Columbus. Or when flying to Chicago, maybe you can find a better deal going into Midway than O'Hare. So kind of play around with the different times and different days and different airports. So really shopping around is going to help to get you the best rates on flights. Also, taking earlier flights. 5 or 6 a.m. I know, who wants to get, when you have a 6 a.m. flight, you have to get there, at 4:30 or 5, and who wants to get there that early? But if you're looking for the best deal and the least chance that your flight's going to get delayed or canceled, those early morning flights are really going to help get you there. Mm-hmm. Flying home early is also going to help to give you some extra time when you want to unpack and get ready, to go back to work the next day. Also keep in mind that most airlines, if you book outside that 14-day departure window, you're going to find a better rate. So if you wait until the last minute, really that 2 weeks out, the flights are going to really skyrocket. We just say to check early. It's always a good idea. Again, it's free to talk with a travel agent, so they can really help you. They know also kind of, what airports and connections you might want to avoid, which would have the most likely to get delayed or canceled, and they can help get you the best rates as well.
What about saving on hotels?
So hotels also, really booking early is going to help you because the closer that you wait, especially again, if you're going to be traveling during peak times, where we have a lot of people wanting to travel over spring break or summer vacation, what you're going to find is that as the inventory gets depleted, the prices are going to go up because it's kind of supply and demand. So when you book early, you're going to have more of a selection and you could probably find lower prices. Again, if it is peak time, they know that, so you might pay a little bit more. So maybe try traveling during some off-peak times. If you wait, you can run the risk that the hotel might sell out. They might have less inventory available. Also, you might want to consider paying for your hotel room in advance. The majority of hotels are going to give you a lower rate if you pay in advance. So again, a travel agent can work with you to get a prepaid reservation. And really, this is because you can get that lower rate because you're guaranteeing the reservation, and so it's guaranteed income for the hotel. Mm-hmm. You can also sometimes save money by bundling your air and your hotel together. So there's lots of travel packages that you can do that, and you can save money that way. And so those are some great ways to save money.
We are just about out of time. Once again, give me the website address where people can get more information about travel.
They can always go to AAA.com, AAA.com, or AAA.com/travel.
And if you're a member, do you get any discounts?
Yes, there are member-only discounts, exclusive AAA member benefits. And, if you have a hard time finding them on the website, again, our agents can definitely direct you to them.
Our guest on the program today has been Kimberly Schwinn from AAA. And thanks so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks so much for listening to Columbus Concerns, a public affairs presentation of North American Broadcasting. If you have any questions or comments about the show, you can drop us a line in care of this station at 1458 Dublin Road, Columbus, 43215. I'm Mark Nuce. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you again next week for another edition of Columbus Concerns.